Hey, this is Isaac with Broomstyle. I am in Ashland, Oregon today at Madrone Cycles, and we're going to learn about the operation here and what they do. Aaron, thanks for having us over at Madrone HQ. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your company.
Yeah, so my name's Aaron Bland, and I started Madrone about 10 months ago, and we launched at Sea Otter this year in 2024. Here at Madrone, we're all about keeping your drivetrain running smooth, and right to repair is a huge part of what we're doing. So those are kind of the two basics of the company. The way we got started is we actually started creating these rebuild kits for SRAM AXS Derailleurs. So we sell the links, bushings, and pins to get this linkage tightened up and straightened once again. What we typically find on these derailleurs is that the bushings will wear out prematurely, both in the links and in this mounting bolt. So we have the link kit and the super shims for this model of derailleur here. Everything from GX to XX1 in this line runs from about $300 to $600 depending on where you get one. So it's makes a lot of sense to keep these things working. It's also, we get a lot of people that are not interested in throwing away the e-waste in the servo here. You can transfer the battery from your old unit to the next one, but so there's kind of a multiple set of reasons to really keep these things working. We get a lot of them on the rebuilds that mail into us, and I'd say 9 out of 10 of these we get super shims and the links, and they're shifting as good or better than they were when they were brand new.
Nice.
We also developed a line of links for the mechanical SRAM as well. And this, what we find with these is a lot of the same issues you get on the AXS units. As most people know, these don't cost as much, so there is kind of a value assessment of should I just get a new one or should I rebuild it. I'd say our links make a lot of sense for the higher end ones like the XX1 and the XO1. We're going to rebuild a GX here today just for kicks. And we get a lot of these, surprisingly, we do get a lot of people that want to rebuild the GX because it's kind of a pretty significant upgrade at that point when you install the links on these models. I think of it like, I'm trying to answer the question, like why do people want to rebuild their GX derailleurs with our parts? And the best explanation I can get is like the Miata tuning crowd, where it's like the thing is so commoditized and affordable. Affordable is relative in this case, but the people there's so many of these out there, and there's a lot of people that want to get them working. So we're going to rebuild a GX today. We're also going to show you a hack super shims, which is not one of the products we offer, but we do have a trick for getting these mounting bolts tight, and we'll share that with you maybe in a little more detail at some other part in the video here. We'll also put a cage on it. So this one, if you want to zoom in close, it's taken a hit. It's got a cracked inner link, and there's a lot of play in the bushings, and oops, I see right now there's actually a cracked outer link as well. So this one definitely needs some love, and I think it's very recoverable. We'll get this thing nice and tight and shifting smooth again by the end of the video.
All right, well, our project today, rehabbing this poor beast. With you said we're gonna go cage.
We're gonna do cage and links, and we'll do our modified super shims here, and then maybe we can do a breakdown of this as we go, so that we can explain to people at home who are watching. You can actually do the super shims on your own. Actually, on our website, we actually give all the specs of all the parts that are in there. It's a couple of O-rings and a couple of shims in this spring washer. So it's a pretty easy thing to do on your own if you have a way to access those components. A lot of people order these specialty fasteners and things from McMaster Car, and usually the minimum McMaster Car shipping cost is like $13. It's hard to get anything less than that, so we sell the super shims for $6. But honestly, anyone can do this on their own, so we'll walk you through that, and then if you have access to these components, feel free to give it a try, or even come up with your own version of super shims.
Yeah, shimming those SRAM derailleurs, making them work the way they're supposed to, be fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, disassembly of the old broken GX.
This tool, what we're seeing here, these are only available inside the Madrone World Headquarters here in the garage. what you get when you buy a kit is these tools. These are much better for a couple reasons. One is they're lower cost, but two, they work better when the pins are really stuck. So these are used with a punch. So for example, we'd fit the derailleur up in this punch, line things up real nice, and then we can tap this out in a really controlled manner. So the customer versions come with these tools. However, I rebuild mini derailleurs each day, and the faster way when I know that there's not a stuck pin is I use this particular tool. So let's go ahead and push this one out. It can be pretty satisfying to push these pins through. This one's easy. They usually are in this part of the derailleur because this housing is some sort of engineered plastic on all the SRAM derailleurs. When you're up here on an AXS one, this pin is actually in an aluminum housing, and there's two parts that aren't always perfectly aligned, so this is oftentimes the one that's really hard to get out.
The metal on metal friction, huh?
Yep, and here you can see the link is shattered apart.
That one was used and abused.
Yep. So that one comes out. Maybe not the best video shot, but here you can see the spring. I always clean these up as I take the parts out. Give them a wipe down so they're clean when we put it back together.
Okay, super shims to make this thing shift better.
All right, so we're going to show you kind of a modified super shims. This is a GX derailleur, and they have a different mounting bolt than the XO1 and the XX1s on mechanical. Actually, on AXS, they're all similar, so the super shims do work on all the AXS derailleurs. But we're going to do this mechanical GX. So the bolt diameter is larger. There's a 12 millimeter bolt here. And so what you're going to want to save from your old GX is this wave washer and then this outer plate. To get this off, there's actually a spring clip. So if you have a pick, you can sort of get it under that thing and sort of pry it out. You won't necessarily need it to get this assembly back together. And again, this is the modified thing. We don't sell this product, but we'll just walk you through if you want to try to come up with your own hack at home. So we keep the SRAM wave spring. This is an O-ring that you can get. We'll have some notes on the size. I don't recall the size off the top of my head. And then this is called a push-on nut. And you can get a kind of a look at it here. But what that's going to do is retain all this. It'll get sandwiched when we put the derailleur on, but it's going to, those fingers are going to sit down inside this groove here on the,
oh, I see it, yeah.
There it is right there on the thing when we get this all back together. So first we're going to drop the O-ring in this counter bore, and then we're going to put the wave spring in on top of it. Let's put a little grease in there. This one feels dry. Just a little bit of grease, that'll just help things stay in there. You don't need to over grease this, and you really don't want grease on the outside surfaces of the derailleur because it'll attract a lot of grit. So we're just putting enough in there so that this doesn't tear up the O-ring. Okay, grease on the O-ring, wave spring, and now when we put the plate on, make sure things are centered. When we put this plate on, you're going to see that it can spring. And this is how the super shims work. They don't get things fitting precisely. What they do is they just get some spring compression on there so that when it's actually torqued down, you can't apply it, it holds the derailleur parallel.
Yeah, that's that slop reduction.
Yeah. Okay, so now we're gonna go to the arbor press, and we're gonna drop this push-on nut. It's going to slide over the threads, and then it's going to drop into the groove that's on this bolt. I'm going to press it on with a socket. And here we go. Make sure everything's aligned. Sounds bad, but it's okay. And now it's on there. And now those fingers are in that little groove that's in there. Get a clean shot of it there, maybe. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There we go.
So that's loaded in the wave washer.
Yep. And the final resting place of all this when it's torqued down, because this is going to press against the hanger, so it may not even feel just right. Yeah, you could see it moving. But once this is tightened down on your frame, that's going to get all really nice and solid, and it'll
Nice.
still rotate. These little spacers in, and they snap in very satisfyingly into these bores. And what that's going to do is this surface will be smooth now, and it's a real nice tight fit to the pins, so it really helps eliminate play in this joint that sometimes can actually exist outside the bushings and links and actually exist between this part and the pins. So these tighten those up. Oh, it's a good background. I have to hold it this way. So we're going to finish the spring installation. We've got it on the rear pin. And this is always fun. We grip it here, bring it over there, and I'm going to push the body of the spring with my thumb, force it over that, and so that's how you get the spring in. It's not too hard.
Nice. Snap ring away.
All right, we're going to put the snap ring on with this tool. You don't want to overstretch the snap rings, and you also want to make sure that they snap into the groove. So I always kind of feel around them with a pick when I'm done. You might have heard it snap in, and then you can see that it came back together fully here. So this is on there, and this is important when you rebuild these, because if you overstretch it, if it's not seated in the groove, that snap ring can fall out, and now you've got a bushing that could fall out. So reliability wise, this is as important as anything, is getting these on properly.
Very cool.
We do, I can talk here if you're still recording, but we do include snap rings in our kits in case you lose them, but I always recommend to people to try to reuse the SRAM ones because they're a little bit thicker than stock. And so the SRAM snap rings are actually pretty good and pretty robust. But if one does get lost or stretched, no big deal. Ours work just fine, but I just like to reuse the SRAM ones whenever possible.
Right on. So phase 1, links replaced and installed.
Yep. And they feel pretty good. They're nice. These are very smooth on this one, and a lot of that play that's in these joints is all taken out now. So snap rings have been checked. They're all seated properly. We put the cable pinch screw back in with a little Loctite. That'll get tightened down later, but now we can move on to the cage. That's just good knowledge for anybody. Yeah.
Cage.
So if you're gonna take your cage off, it's easy if you use the right order of operations, but what you don't want is this spring to come flying out of here and everything unloads itself in a hurry. So get it rocked forward, set the cage lock, then remove this screw right here. We're going to take that one out. This is the screw that prevents it from rotating back the other way, and you can do this real easily with the cage lock. Now I'm going to grip each half tightly, don't let it surprise you. We're going to release it and then slowly
because that's your clutch spring.
Yeah.
So that's loaded.
Yep. So now there's no force on this spring anymore, and you can actually feel the clutch. It goes easily that way and not easily the other way. But we can take this out easily now. It won't come flying out on me.
And then the replacement cage, is this specific to each derailleur?
This is actually the same component across all the mechanical ones and the Axis ones that we make. And then there's 2 versions of this piece, one for mechanical, one for Axis. They have slightly different geometry between these 3 points here.
Gotcha. And then I was looking, is there much difference between stock?
The stock ones are thinner than ours. So the Madrone cage, the big advantage I tell people is it's all about durability with ours. So some of the cross sections are thicker. There's the profile in the front prevents branches or anything from getting caught in the pulley and wrapping it down into the chain.
Oh,
here.
Sure, that's happened to everybody.
And then our pulleys are also solid, so those are easier to clean when it's in the stand, but also you can't get branches and things caught in there. Oh yeah,
so these are the worst with grease and grime.
Yeah, for cleaning. Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yep. And so like you really don't, I don't think you need the narrow wide down on these. We've never had a problem with ours being the same throughout, so the whole surface is just designed to be easy to wipe off with a rag. They're not directional also, so you know, it's about, our cages are mostly designed for like mountain biking applications and durability, not so much the ultralight, or you see like the low friction, oversized pulley wheels, that kind of thing. It's not any about that. It's just about having a durable cage that can withstand some abuse.
Oh yeah, I like it.
So we got the whole unit done. The cage is on, pulleys are in. We Loctited all the threaded fasteners, which is definitely a must-do on the derailleurs. Highly recommend that for reliability. You don't want any of these fasteners coming loose on a ride, let alone during a race. When you put this on, one of my recommendations is have this screw out and bushing, and then take your upper pulley out. That way you don't need to break your chain. The more times you break that master link, the less reliable your chain's gonna be, and you don't need to have your chain broken to get your derailleur off. So when it goes back in, there's no upper pulley and this lower bushing and screw come out, and then the chain can drape in there, and then you can easily install these from the outside and get it wrapped around just right.
Nice.
Also, don't forget to Loctite these threads. That's an important one as well. And then on the mechanical derailleurs, I've actually tightened one of the limit screws in, and what that does, it prevents the cam from hitting this, and this the cage from hitting the cam right here. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but right there, if this limit screw is backed all the way out, this can actually sometimes contact. So you want to get the thing installed and the chain routed first, and then you can adjust this limit screw. This is just a way to prevent that from contacting it. So just a little trick.
Nice.
You don't have to do that, but it just makes it a little easier.
Sweet. Yeah, looking forward to putting this thing through some paces and upgrades. Right on. All right, well, this about wraps it up with our berm style time with Aaron with Madrone. I just want to say thank you so much. It was a pleasure hanging out, learning about these products, and I'm anxious to test this bad boy out, and then continue the relationship with Madrone Cycles here in Ashland, Oregon. Thanks again.
Awesome. Thanks for stopping by.
All right, we'll see you all next time.
Right?
Okay, here we are. Ride report of the Madrone hopped up derailleur. I'm on my second ride. I only have extremely positive things to say. Shifts are smooth and crisp. Handles shifting under a load. I have it mounted on my Specialized Turbo Levo. I figure if there's one way to torture test a derailleur, it's on a full-powered e-bike. Love it or hate it, I'm having a good time. It's working great. One thing about e-bike derailleur and e-bikes in general, I tend to put 2 to 3 times the amount of miles on relative to a regular ride. And I really like these pulleys. Super easy to clean. My GX pulleys were constantly covered in muck, super hard to get clean. So, Madrone cycling components, parts hop up, 2 thumbs up. Super stoked. Thanks, Aaron. Really looking forward to the prototype derailleur coming into production. I think that thing's gonna be sweet. Okay, until next time, this is Isaac, bermstyle.com. Thanks for watching.